Sometimes, life hits so hard that even the smallest act of kindness feels like a miracle. On an ordinary Tuesday morning, in a small-town grocery store in Ohio, one man's pain and another man's compassion collided in a way that would change both their lives forever. It all started with a single dollar and a box of diapers. Hey everyone, welcome to your channel name, where we share true, heartfelt stories that remind us how beautiful kindness can be. If you believe in the power of good people and second chances, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's dive into today's story. The automatic doors slid open, letting in a gust of cold winter air. A man in a faded gray hoodie stepped inside, clutching a wrinkled shopping list in one hand and a nearly empty wallet in the other. His name was Ethan Miller, a 32-year-old single dad doing everything he could to hold it together. He hadn't eaten a full meal in 2 days. His boots were worn. His eyes, once bright and full of hope, looked tired, like someone carrying too much for too long. But today, he wasn't there for himself. He was there for his 6-month-old daughter, Lily. She was all he had left. Ethan used to have a good job in construction until the company downsized. Then his car broke down. Then his landlord raised the rent. One bad thing after another, until life just fell apart. Now, he was standing in front of the baby aisle, staring at the price tag on a small pack of diapers, $7.99. He had $8.12 left in his pocket. That was it. His last dollar bills and a few coins. He sighed and whispered, "Hang in there, baby girl. Daddy's got you." Meanwhile, behind him in line at the checkout stood Michael Reeves, a sharply dressed man in his mid-40s. Everyone in town knew his face, at least from the business section of the newspaper. He was the CEO of a local tech company, successful, wealthy, and always busy. But despite all that success, Michael was quietly one of the loneliest men in the city. He'd lost his wife 2 years ago to cancer, and though he had everything money could buy, he couldn't buy what he truly wanted: someone to share it with. He came into that store just to grab a bottle of water and some coffee beans before heading to another long, empty night at the office. He didn't expect to notice anyone that day. But as he waited in line, he couldn't help but watch the young father ahead of him. Ethan placed the diapers on the counter and began counting out his crumpled bills. That's 7, 8, he pushed the coins forward, his hand trembling slightly. The cashier, a kind elderly woman, smiled politely. But when she scanned the diapers, the screen flashed $8.57. Ethan's heart dropped. He reached into his pockets again, desperate, searching for change that wasn't there. I think I'm short," he said softly, his voice cracking. "Can I put one back?" The cashier looked at him with sympathy. "Honey, I'm sorry, but this is the smallest pack we've got." Ethan nodded slowly, embarrassed. The people in line behind him were starting to notice. He could feel their eyes on him, the quiet judgment, the whispers. "Hey, come on, man, hurry up," someone muttered from the back. Ethan's face flushed. He wanted to disappear. He glanced down at the diapers, then at the photo of his daughter on his phone screen. She was smiling in a pink onesie, totally unaware of how hard life had become. He took a deep breath. "It's okay," he said to the cashier. I'll come back later." And he turned to walk away. That's when a calm, confident voice spoke from behind him. "Wait," the man said. "Don't move." Ethan froze. He turned around and saw Michael tall, in a navy blue suit, holding his credit card. "I'll take them," Michael said. "Sir, you don't have to," Ethan began, but Michael shook his head. "No. I insist." In fact, he looked at the cashier. "Ring up every pack of those diapers you've got. I'll pay for all of them." The cashier blinked in surprise. "All of them?" "That's a lot of diapers, sir." Michael smiled softly. "That's the point." Everyone in line fell silent. Even the impatient man at the back suddenly seemed ashamed. Ethan's mouth fell open. "Why would you do that?" he whispered. Michael paused for a moment. His voice softened. "Because once, a stranger did the same for me, when I had nothing. and I never forgot. The cashier packed the boxes one by one. Ethan stood there, speechless, tears forming in his eyes as the mountain of diapers grew higher and higher. He tried to protest, but Michael stopped him with a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Listen," Michael said quietly, "you don't owe me a thing. Just take care of your little girl. That's enough." Ethan nodded, wiping his eyes. "I don't even know your name." "Michael," the man replied with a smile. "Michael Reeves." Ethan froze. "Wait, you're that Michael Reeves? From ReevTech?" Michael nodded modestly. "Guilty as charged." Ethan laughed through the tears. "Man, you could have just bought the one pack. You didn't have to buy the whole store." Michael shrugged. "Maybe not. But I could afford to, and you needed it. That's how life works when people care." As they stood there, the cashier bagged everything up and slipped a note into one of the bags. It read, "The world still has good people." Ethan left that store with tears in his eyes and boxes of diapers stacked in his shopping cart. But more importantly, he left with something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. That night, Michael couldn't stop thinking about the encounter. He sat in his penthouse apartment, staring out over the glittering city skyline. All the success, all the luxury, it suddenly felt so small compared to the simple gratitude he saw in Ethan's eyes. He realized how disconnected he'd become. How he'd been living surrounded by people, yet utterly alone. For the first time in years, he wanted to do something meaningful. So, he opened his laptop and wrote an email to his board of directors. "Starting next quarter, I want to create a foundation, one that supports single parents in need. Let's call it the Lily Foundation." Meanwhile, Ethan sat on the floor of his tiny apartment, holding Lily in his arms. She was laughing, playing with one of the diaper boxes like it was the best toy in the world. Ethan smiled through his tears. He thought about that man at the store, the stranger who saw him when no one else did. In that moment, he made himself a promise. "When I get back on my feet, I'll pay it forward." Just like he did for me. Months passed. Ethan found a job, ironically, through a local charity that the Lily Foundation helped fund. When he learned who was behind the foundation, he couldn't believe it. He showed up at the company one morning, holding his daughter, to personally thank Michael. They hugged like old friends. And Michael simply said, "You already thanked me, Ethan. You became the reason this foundation exists." Ethan smiled. "You gave me more than diapers. You gave me my faith back." From that day on, they stayed in touch. Michael became a mentor to Ethan, and Ethan became a reminder to Michael that the smallest acts of kindness can ripple farther than we'll ever see. One man's last dollar. One stranger's generous heart. And a baby girl named Lily, who brought two lives together that day. Sometimes, kindness doesn't need to be grand. Sometimes it's as simple as seeing someone struggle and saying, "I've got you." You never know what that moment might inspire, or whose life it might change. Because kindness always finds its way back. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to your channel name. Tell us in the comments, what's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you? Your story might just inspire someone else to keep believing in good. Until next time, remember, kindness costs nothing, but it means everything.